Hi, I'm Stacey and welcome to my Book Nook. And in today's video we're going to be doing my July and August book haul. Yeah, not that many in July, but quite a few in August. And I've got my phone ready because the synopses of these, I don't necessarily know them. So let's start off with July. So the first thing that I got in July, interesting, okay. Was The Cleaving by Julia E. McKenna. And this is like a historical fantasy because it's a retelling of the Arthurian legends, but it's from feminine perspectives, like with a feminist take, let's say. So it's from the perspectives of four women, Nimue, Igraine, Morgana, and Guinevere, as they fight to control their own destinies amid the wars and rivalries that will determine the destiny of Britain. So it's quite interesting. If you don't know, Igraine is Arthur's mother. Morgana is the witch, I suppose, but also sometimes she's his half-sister. Nimue is an enchantress, and obviously Guinevere married Arthur. So it's going to be really interesting. I'm intrigued. It's not something I'd ever heard of before, but it sounds interesting. The next thing that I got was The Drowned Woods by Emily Lloyd Jones, and this is a fantasy. Both of these are digital, by the way, and I know it's based on Welsh fairy tales, legends, etc. Let's just read this out for you. The right cause can topple a kingdom. Once upon a time, the kingdoms of Wales were rife with magic and conflict. An 18-year-old Mered, I want to say Mered, Mare, or Mare, is well acquainted with both. As the last living water diviner, she can manipulate water with magic, a unique elemental power many would kill to possess. For years, Mare has been running from the prince, who bound her into his service and forced her to kill thousands with her magic. Now all Mare wants is a safe, quiet life, far from power and politics. But then Mare's old handler, the king's spymaster, returns with a proposition. Use her powers to bring down the very prince that abused them both. Part heist novel, part dark fairy tale, and rich with Welsh legends, The Drowned Woods is an ethereal fantasy. Yeah, so it sounds really interesting. I'd really like to read about Welsh legends because it's not something that I've really read before. So I think it'll be quite fun. And speaking of legends, mythology, and stuff, I also got Threads That Bind from Fairy Loot. So this is the Fairy Loot edition. I did discuss the normal edition in my last haul, so I will link that up there. So this one is beautiful Fairy Loot edition. It's gorgeous. It's got beautiful cover. It's got lovely end papers and really pretty spade. Oh my gosh. Really pretty sprayed edges. Fairy Loot edition. So that's all of the July books. So let's go for the August books. So the first one that I got, let's do digital first again. So I got Delilah Green Doesn't Care, and this is an adult romance, and it's a sapphic romance, and it follows Delilah Green, who swears she would never go back to Bright Falls, and then She's a photographer. I don't want to read out this entire thing, so bear with me. I think she goes back home for a wedding, and she's, yes, here we go. When Delilah's estranged stepsister Astrid pressures her into photographing her wedding with a guilt trip and a 5-figure check, Delilah finds herself back in the godforsaken town she used to call home. She plans to breeze in and out, but then she sees Claire Sutherland, one of Astrid's stuck-up besties, and decides that maybe there's some fun and a little retribution to be had in Bright Falls after all. So Claire has a daughter, and I'm just going to guess there's some antics that go on, and they fall for each other because it's a romance. But it's got a really cute cover, and I'd like to read some more romances because I'm not that into them. So I feel like I should read different ones. And this one looks like a different one. Okay, let's go for the next one, which was Spin the Book Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. And that is a YA fantasy, and I know that it is about a girl who joins a competition to, it's like a seamstress competition, bear with me. Let's do this again. Okay. On the fringes of the Great Spice Road, Maya Tamarin dreams of becoming the greatest tailor in the land, but as a girl, the best she can hope for is to marry well. Then a royal messenger summons her ailing father to court, and Maya seizes her chance. Disguised as a man, she travels to the summer palace in her father's place to compete for the emperor's favour, and the coveted position of imperial tailor. If Maya's ruse is discovered, her life will be forfeit. But if she wins, she will achieve her greatest dream. Yet nothing could have prepared her for the challenge ahead, to sew 3 magic gowns for the emperor's bride-to-be, one from the laughter of the sun, one from the tears of the moon, and one from the blood of stars. Accompanied by the mysterious court enchanter, whose piercing eyes seem to see straight through her disguise, Maya's journey will take her to the far reaches of the kingdom, seeking the sun, the moon, and stars, and finding more than she ever could have imagined. I feel like I've heard a fairy tale like that. I think I'm like, I'll like it because I enjoyed 6 Crimson Cranes, so I'm sure I'll like this too. Yes, and then here we go. The next one that I got was Cursed by Marissa Meyer, and this is the sequel to Gilded by Marissa Meyer, which is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. And that's all I'm going to say about it. This was basically to prompt me to read the first one because it's on my priority TBR for this year. So I've got the second one, so I have to read the first one. And I've enjoyed Marissa Meyer's other works, so I think I should enjoy this. The next one that I got was kind of a recommendation. So my sister went to Comic-Con, and there was an authors section, and she got this book. And this book is called Grave Expectations, and it's by Alice Bell. And it sounds pretty good. So when I saw it on offer, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get it. So, buddy read, potentially? That's a question to you, Kyra. So this is it's a crime novel, murder mystery kind of thing, in which a burnt-out millennial medium must utilize her ability to see ghosts and team up with a band of oddball investigators to figure out which members of a posh English family are guilty of murder. So, almost authentic medium Claire and her best friend Sophie agree to take on a seemingly simple job at a crumbling old manor in the English countryside, I presume, performing a seance for the family matriarch's 80th birthday. The pair have been friends since before Sophie went missing and when they were 17. Everyone else is convinced Sophie simply ran away, but Claire knows the truth. Claire knows Sophie was murdered because Sophie has been haunting her ever since. Despite this traumatic past, Claire and Sophie are still unprepared for what they encounter when they arrive. A ghost, tragic and unrecognisable, and clearly the spirit of someone killed in a rage at the previous year's party. Given her obsession with crime shows, not to mention Sophie's ability to walk through walls, Claire decides they're the best people to solve the case. What follows is somewhat irregular detective work involving stealing a priest cassock, getting too drunk to remember to question your suspect, and of course, Chekhov's sparkly purple dildo. Okay, that was not what I was expecting to say right then. Okay. I think we're going to leave it there. We're going to leave it there. It sounds quite funny, judging by that. And now someone is mowing their lawn. Can you not? Okay, so to get back on track, the last digital one that I got was All's Well by Mona Awad, and this is following a theatre director. She's a college theatre director, and she has chronic back pain and a deepening dependence on painkillers, and she's trying to put on Shakespeare's All's Well That Ends Well, and her cast wants to put on Macbeth. I don't really know what happens from there, but I've heard interesting things. So let's see. We'll just see how it goes. So the next two are ones that I have borrowed from my very kind sister. And the first one that I'm going to talk to you about is Rivers of London by Ben Aronovich. And this follows a police officer who I believe has magic powers. I really don't want to read this. Okay. So I think he's probably some kind of wizard, and there's something festering in the heart of the city, and it's a malicious, vengeful spirit that's taking ordinary Londoners and twisting them into something awful. Mannequins to act out its drama of violence and despair. This sounds pretty cool. He's trying to take a witness statement from a man who was already dead. Yeah, okay. It sounds really interesting. I've wanted to read it for a while, and Clara was very nice in letting me borrow this. The other thing that she let me borrow, also like a detective type thing. Interesting. So it is In the Blink of an Eye by Joe Callahan, and we shall have a little look. Right. In the UK, someone is reported missing every 90 seconds, just gone, vanished in the blink of an eye. Roll credits. DCS Cat Frank knows all about loss. A widowed single mother, Cat is a cop who trusts her instincts. Fit to lead a pilot program that has paired her with AID, which is Artificially Intelligent Detective Entity, Locke. Cat's instincts come up against Locke's logic, but when the two missing persons cold cases they're reviewing suddenly become active, Locke is the only one who can help Cat when things get personal. AI versus human experience, logic versus instinct. With lives on the line, can the pair work together before someone else becomes another statistic? So that sounds really interesting. It came highly recommended, and so did Rivers of London by Kyra. So I'm very intrigued with both of those. And the next ones, the last ones, thankfully, are ones that came out recently. They're both sequels. And we'll start with Never a Hero by Vanessa Len. This is the sequel to Only a Monster, which follows a girl who learns that her family is they're monsters. They're a family of monsters. There are lots of other families of monsters. And the one thing all these monsters have in common is being able to time travel. They also have other powers. Yeah, so it's her discovery of that and what happens afterwards. I really enjoyed the time travel aspect in the first one, and lots of interesting things happened, so I'm excited to read the second one. And finally, the last thing is The Light Struck by Sonia Mara, and this is the sequel to The Darkening, which is so interesting. So, The Darkening is set in a city which is surrounded by a storm. And it follows a girl, and her dad has been taken away. I'm trying to remember if she has powers. I can't really remember. But this has shadow creatures. She's trying to get her dad back and has to team up with a prince. And the world is just so interesting in this, and I really want to see more. It's just so interesting. And also, it's beautiful. So, I'm excited to read this and see what happens. Let me know if you read any of those and what you thought of them. If you got this far, leave me a little yellow heart in the comments. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you the next time. Bye.